History repeats itself as Team Canada wins the game that ultimately matters, and they do it in overtime, beating USA 3-2 in the Four Nations face-off. We're going to wrap it up next on the CHGO Blackhawks Team USA Four Nations postgame show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Team USA Four Nations face-off post-game show. I'm Jay Zawoski with Greg Boyson and Mario Terabasi. I am looking forward to that being over. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's the last time you ever have to say that, ever.
Thank you all for being here. Team USA loses 3-2 in overtime. Connor McDavid left alone in the slot, and I could have turned the TV off right then because very often that puck is going to be behind the goalie no matter who he is. Yeah. But loss aside, just an incredible game, an incredible tournament, top to bottom, A+.
Yeah, it delivered on the hockey. It was just, start to finish, awesome stuff. The drama was high. The elite level of play was it was way more than just a glorified all-star break. It was awesome. So yeah, the result at the end was a big fat turd, but the entire tournament I think was fantastic, and it's what people have been waiting for a decade.
Yeah, it was a fun little week or so here. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I had zero excitement level heading into this.
Yeah.
Like I honestly was like, this is going to be kind of dumb and whatnot, but it was great hockey. It's right off the bat with that Canada-Sweden overtime game to start things a week ago. And then, that great game over the weekend, the first U.S.-Canada game. And then, tonight, classic. You knew it was, you pretty much knew overtime was almost inevitable.
Yeah.
You
felt appropriate.
All the throwbacks to 2010. Team USA beat Canada in the prelims and that, and then it's Sidney Crosby, an all-time great, winning in overtime. They beat Team Canada in the preliminaries this time, and then it's Connor McDavid, another all-time great, winning in overtime. Lots to talk about for this game in particular. Some interesting, weird decisions being made, but overall, this tournament was a success because you got a lot of people who never watch hockey, not only watching hockey, but talking about hockey.
Yeah, 100%.
Some of it for the right reasons, some of it for other nonsensical reasons, but whatever. You've got a buzz that the sport of hockey has not had in a long time, so mission accomplished. That's what you wanted to do. You wanted to expose this game to new people. You did that. You've got, TikTok going crazy for hockey highlights all of a sudden. Like, great. Now, let's get back to business. Let's get down to that last, the trade deadline's just a few days away.
Yeah, 11 days?
The playoff push. You've got incredible playoff race, especially in the Eastern Conference. Let's take this feeling and momentum of how important these games were and transfer it to the rest of the NHL, not name the Blackhawks.
Well, I mean, like you said, this is just such a huge boost for the league to have something like this where a lot of eyes were on it. I know the NBA came back tonight, but it's regular season. I feel like most of the people with any sort of interest in hockey, even a sliver, were tuned into this probably over their local basketball game. And it was just a great showcase for the league, a great showcase to the talent. And people get to see what hockey looks like at the highest level. And what's cool about it is you get to see hockey at its highest level in the Stanley Cup final and the Stanley Cup playoffs, but not everybody watching has a rooting interest. This was the best of both worlds where everyone in the States, everyone in Canada was invested. Everyone's rooting for their team. So they are seeing this great hockey, but everyone wants the same team to win. So the entire nation is pulled behind it instead of like, oh, cool, the Florida Panthers, they're really impressive, but I don't really care if they win or lose. With Team USA or Team Canada winning this, you're going to have 50% of the people watching happy, and it was great. It was the perfect showcase, and I've said it from jump. All credit goes to the players for putting this thing over. They were fantastic. They bought in immediately. They played their asses off. They played hurt, maybe to the detriment of their NHL teams, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But this was just such a huge moment and a huge day for the NHL and for hockey in general. And that's going to lead us to our What's Brewing segment presented by Samuel Adams American Light. I got a nice cold one right here. I'm going to crack it in a second. What's brewing is we are 350 days from the Olympics. So we're only 350 days away from another great international hockey tournament with even more players, with even more excitement, with even more on the line. Give it all to me. It was so nice to have this feeling tonight of nerves and stress, something that Hawks fans and fans in Chicago haven't had in a long time watching hockey.
Yeah, it was, going into this game, it still felt like, you had the nerves of like US Canada, like the stakes were high. But for me personally, it wasn't until that end of that third period and into overtime where I was like, oh, now I'm nervous.
Yeah, you spent some time on the floor.
Yeah. Jordan friggin' Binnington decides to be 2019 Jordan Binnington again.
Something about that building.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the excitement got ramped up again. That's something that, I think a lot of people in Chicago want to get back to. As much as it takes years off of your life, you do it for a good reason. It's because your team is playing in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, the high pressure stuff. Like that's awesome. So yeah, I am looking forward to getting through these next 350 days so we can get back to doing the CHGO Blackhawks 2026 Milano Cortino Olympics
yes.
Team USA Olympic Games post-game show.
Good thing I got my 50-pack of flags the other day.
We're just going to string them across.
I think it was 50 or 55 different countries
in
that little package I bought. We only needed 4, but the rest are here.
We should do we should do like flashcards. Pull up the card, pull up the flag, and be like, "What country?"
Just so we
is
can
this?
do a parade of nations with just different members of the staff.
You guys got all off season to name that country.
Yeah, exactly.
Name one hockey player from this country.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, just disappointing for Team USA for sure, but as a hockey fan and as somebody who wants the sport to get as big as possible and be like an NBA or NFL as far as popularity and people into it, I mean, that's probably not going to happen in our lifetimes, but more stuff like this will get you in the right direction.
Close the gap.
But like as a fan of the game of hockey, someone who loves the sport, this was awesome. This was an awesome game. This was awesome little week we had here. That's all that matters. I mean, yes, it would have been fun to have Team USA win, to have those bragging rights for the next year heading into the Olympics. And I wrote about it today on Chicago Hockey Now about when we kind of discussed it the last post-game show, who does this mean more to, or who's got more pressure to win this? And Canada has more outside pressure to win, but I think internally it was more important for U.S. to win this. Yeah, you've won the last two World Juniors, but
10% of people care about that.
You're being
hockey fans.
You're being generous.
10% of hockey fans.
Most
care about that.
hockey fans don't care about the World Juniors.
Right.
It's
I'd say more than 10%.
I don't think so.
But you know what? Who cares about World Juniors when at the highest level? Sure, we've got better teenagers in Canada right now, but they've got the better players in the world because they won at the biggest stage. So, but just as you were talking about for What's Brewing, this has me really excited for the Olympics. And you're going to have a bigger tournament, more teams. You'll have players that didn't get to play in this because they only picked 4 nations that will get to play Peter Mrazek will be able to chirp more about Czechia as he was in the locker room the other day.
Czechia, Slovakia, Latvia.
Who knows who's going to be there and who's going to get left out, but it will be
all the EAs.
It'll be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it.
They already have the qualifying groups.
I don't know.
I'll look that up.
I'm not sure. I think actually part of does the World Championships factor into that at all? Or no? I don't know. I don't know how they figured it out. I thought they just said, you're good, get in there.
Yeah, I think there is qualifying, but there's certain nations that are going to make it for sure. We got to do it. We've got to give credit to Jordan Binnington. All right, we did it. Thank you. Right. That felt horrible.
I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of Canadian hockey fans that owe him an apology.
Yeah.
Because and justifiably so, they were not happy with that pick or any of the goaltending pick. And there are a lot of people that wanted him out after the first game, after the second game, after the third game. But he was really good tonight, especially in overtime. A couple of big saves.
Robbed Austin Matthews.
Yeah, a couple guys shot it directly into his glove. But listen, he made one more save than Connor Hellebuyck. That's all he had to do tonight. Make one more save, and he did it. Connor McDavid is in the you leave Connor McDavid all alone in the slot, Austin. That's what happens.
Yeah, it's a shame that Jacob Slavin couldn't play 60 minutes because he was just outstanding. And there's so many things to talk about. And I saw somebody had a comment about Mike Sullivan a little bit, and I think it's probably a good jumping off point about basically having to play 10 forwards. It's from Patrick here. He says, I know you like him, but Sullivan choosing to basically play with 10 forwards should eliminate him from coaching the Olympics.
He wasn't choosing to play 10.
Yeah, well, Tkachuk was hurt.
Matthew Tkachuk was hurt.
I don't know why, and there's a lot of guys we could talk about, but what does Brock Nelson do? Why is he on this team when Jason Robertson and Tage Thompson and
then scratching Kyle Connor, who's got 30 goals.
Yeah, for
Chris Kreider to play him 5 minutes, not exactly great. My rule for the Olympics is I don't care who the coach is, no New York Rangers.
I like it.
I mean, Adam Fox was bad this tournament.
Adam Fox was not great.
Chris Kreider, why? Vincent Trocheck, what did he do? Anything?
Took a bad penalty.
JT Miller punches himself in the face.
Fox was a -2. Nelson was a -2. Jack Hughes was a -2. JT Miller was a -1. The problem
He'll
is
be a Ranger next year for the Olympics.
These New York, New Jersey guys that were the problem tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should have had more Midwesterners out
Needed more Minnesota Wild players, damn it.
Yeah, apparently.
This team needed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, you could
GM too.
The Bill Guerin, there is definitely some room for criticism. But again, you got to overtime of the championship game against Canada, and Connor McDavid beat you. I mean,
I really think
join the club.
I really think the Pittsburgh Penguins should have a really call an emergency meeting right now, Kyle Dubas, and say, you know what? I really don't like the way Mike Sullivan coached this game. We should fire him when he gets back. They should let him go. They shouldn't. You should be embarrassed to have that.
What's a national embarrassment is what it is, and he should be available come off season and maybe come here. That'd be fine. I'd be down with that. I mean, in terms of this game on its own, we have plenty of time to talk about the overall impact and who should be on the Olympic teams and all those sort of things. But is there anything really aside from the frustration of some of the guys that got to play over others that stood out in terms of strategy was fine? I thought they didn't play. I was really surprised by how open overtime was.
Right.
I thought it was going to be sit back and play not to lose, but both teams were going for it. The U.S. had the better chances in overtime for sure. I thought it was coached very well. Roster decisions aside, which is more on the GM than anything, okay. But I think in terms of the X's and O's coaching from Sullivan, I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, I think when you break it down like this game, I mean, when you get teams of this caliber, it's just the smallest of details, the smallest of bounces that can make a difference. So, yeah, for the fact that this game was close, got to overtime, I mean, both games were close. I mean, the U.S. gets an empty netter to make it 3-1. Like, both games were tight games, and I can't really say that too much really broke down schematically for the U.S. And you get the whole tournament. The difference between the two teams was Connor Hellebuck against Jordan Binnington, and like you said, like Binnington was able to allow one less goal in the head-to-head matchup when it mattered the most. And I think that's really what it comes down to. I don't think that there was too many guys that broke down in this game or were singularly involved in causing the loss. So I think it just comes down to talent for talent. Like the big player in the with the spotlight on him at that moment is Connor McDavid, and there's no one else on the planet that you want to have that moment.
That's right. All right, we got to hit the break zone for the first time. Make sure you hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to the page as well. And if you're catching up on the podcast, we thank you and love you. Make sure you are following or subscribed on your favorite podcast app. Back with more on the CHGO Team USA Four Nations Face-Off postgame show. One more time, I have to do it. You know what didn't stink? That game. That game was covered in Mando. Mando is a men's deodorant brand that's hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean. That is every aspect. You have to wonder, did any of those Team USA or Team Canada players put some Mando on their grundles, their butt cracks, or balls before the game? There's only one way to find out, and brother, that's not a job for me. The Mando scents are geared towards men's with options like bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport. I use Mando every day. I think I smell generally good for a guy of my general girth. It works. It's good stuff. Get yourself some. It's safe to use anywhere on your body. It's created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated 12 hours after a shower or after overtime. The average man's grundle odor was a 5 out of 10. With Mando, it's a 0 out of 10. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes in a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and you get 2 free products of your choice, like the mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off that starter pack with our exclusive code CHGO. Go to shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com and use that code CHGO. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
And if you were tuned in to our show yesterday? Yes. Jay and I put together a prize picks selection live on the air.
Did not work.
And it did not work. Darn.
I do want you to Venmo me after all.
Okay, I'll give you the $2.50.
If I won, I was going to keep it.
$2.50. But yeah, I mean, prize picks, this wasn't a game that you really needed any extra motivation to tune into, but prize picks is a way to do it. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on so many different stat categories across the board for, hockey games, NBA, baseball starting up pretty soon. You can go from all those major sports all the way down to darts and League of Legends if you want. If you're like me and want to bet while you're asleep, you can make those kinds of bets. And Prize Picks, it's the best place to get real money, sports action. You can join over 10 million users. Sign up today. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can even double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. If you sign up today, you can get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win money this basketball season. Which players are going to go off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long with Prize Picks. So download the app today. When you use the code CHGO, you're going to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app, use the code CHGO, and you're going to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
All right, we have a pair of super chats from a familiar face.
We'd like to remind
it's
you,
our
folks,
buddy Greg Braggs. 2 $5 super chats. He says, as someone who has no idea what I'm looking at, can someone explain why there wasn't a penalty when it hit the Canadian as he was going to the bench? I don't think the puck hit him. If you're talking about the too many men in overtime, the puck did not make contact with the player. Had it made contact, it probably would have been a penalty.
And they do give them some grace space when they're changing. Yeah. And it's also overtime of a gold medal game. Refs aren't going to call anything.
No.
So
if that play happens in the first period of the Columbus Blue Jackets Chicago Blackhawks game on Saturday, that's a too many men on the ice penalty.
That'll be called.
They're not calling it in that spot. So a little swallowing of the whistles, but it should have been a too many men on the ice, but it's not egregious. It's not awful. And if you're going to complain about that, I mean, that would have been it was a penalty, but then, a couple minutes later, Team USA got away with an obvious hooking penalty on Brad Marchand.
Yeah,
I think. So it went both ways. They weren't calling. It would basically, you would have to Marty McSorley somebody to get a penalty.
You were going to need
YouTube it if you don't know the reference.
You're going to need to get charges brought on you.
Yeah, you're going to need to get
to get a penalty there.
Hanson Brothers nonsense going on.
It also, let's be honest, it should be that way. For a game with that much on the line, you don't want a ticky-tack penalty being called. I know it would have helped Team USA, and maybe we would have enjoyed the outcome a little more, but you don't want to call on a very close too many men. There's no way. There were things that were getting by both ways for both teams, so I'm happy to live with that.
I don't have any issue with how the game was officiated at all. Was. They let the guys play. They let the players. There was only one power play the whole night,
penalty call,
and that was on a obvious as you could be, by some bum ass New York Ranger. Again, leave the Rangers off the international teams.
Have we not learned our lesson yet?
Yes.
Apparently not.
Stop it.
And one more super chat from Braggs, and we appreciate it, Greg. Go to bed. He says, if Canada cared about the sport, Binnington would have let one of those through. #selfish. I'm kidding, but seriously, bring on the Olympics. But this is a great example. Greg Braggs is a guy who watches very little hockey, and he is on Meatball Island. He cut through the ice. He skated maybe to Meatball Island this time, and he's tuned in. A lot of people were watching this, and kind of to go back to something you were talking about, Greg, where the pressure and those sort of things. I do think that as this tournament went on and momentum built, there was some pressure on USA to actually win this thing because, look, just to take it behind the curtain, when USA beat Canada the other night, we had probably double the audience we have now. We have a great audience now. We appreciate it, of course, and hit the like button for us. But had USA won, this audience would have been much bigger because it would have just been a jumping off point for a lot of people as hockey fans here. I do think they still got a lot done, a lot accomplished in terms of new eyes, new ears on the sport, which is great.
For sure.
But, man, that USA victory would have been huge for the sport.
Well, let's see if they can carry this interest and this excitement for the sport into the home stretch and into the playoffs. Let's see if people are still, if your casual hockey fan is still watching come the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, because that's it's going to be a major drop off. If you tune in, if you've never really watched hockey and then you tune in Saturday and watch Blackhawks Blue Jackets, it's going to be a bit of a drop off.
Sure. Yeah. From watching.
Sarah just groaned.
But I mean,
I've been enjoying this good hockey. I'm not used to it.
But the Stanley Cup playoffs are almost here. We're about 2 months away, a little less than 2 months away. So hopefully that interest and excitement, not only by hockey, the hockey fans get crazy for the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's the best 2 months of the year. But if you can get the casual, the new fans this excited for the playoffs, which they should be, because you get games like that 4 times a night, every night.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. Putting this kind of effort out in this tournament format was, it's a huge success. I mean, the viewership numbers were already pretty crazy for the round robin games. I think, what did I see? I think 4 of the 5 or 6 most watched games across, TNT and ESPN were all from this tournament this year, including NHL games. So, the viewership was crazy on Saturday. I imagine it's going to be even bigger for the viewership numbers for this game. with the lead in and everything, the stakes that were on the line. I know, right? But I think for Team USA, you come into this tournament, you make a statement again in the game against Finland. Like you basically you go out there and you're like, okay, this was a prelim game to the Canada matchup. You go out and you have the game against Canada, the 3 fights at the beginning of the game. You get the win. You set the tone. Like that game was so physical. It took out Charlie McAvoy. It nearly took out the Tkachuk brothers. And then you come into this final. You have an opportunity to you come back from being down. Canada scores the first goal. You respond. Then you go out and you get the lead. Then late in the second period, Canada comes back. They tie it, and you go to overtime again. And just like we did 15 years ago, 2-2 game, going to overtime, and it's the biggest name in hockey for Canada beats you, and it's for USA Hockey. This was an opportunity and a platform for them to like plant their flag of just like, we are no longer this second fiddle to Canada when it comes to hockey. Like we have, the talk and the buzz around U.S. players and Canadian players in the NHL, the results in the World Juniors. All this stuff has been pointing to USA Hockey catching and, in some people's opinions, surpassing what Hockey Canada has done in their men's programs. Right? This was an opportunity to like make that statement and say like, hey, we're no longer the little brother to Canada when it comes to hockey, and it's fallen short. So as much as this tournament as a whole was great for USA Hockey, this is fallen short of what they set out to do as a group results wise. This can't be like, oh well, they got to the final. Like no, this was a game that they had to win to make that statement, and they fall short in it.
I know what you're saying, and I think generally you're correct. But I don't think Canada walks away from this saying like, see, we're still on top. Like, well,
I think they very
Quinn
much
Hughes
do.
never played. Matthew Tkachuk left the game. Like played 6 minutes. They were not at full strength. And I know that Canada wasn't at full strength either, but like they're right there. They're right there. And as much as
but
fans don't care about the World Juniors, I know, but I don't think the whole like little brother thing exists for USA anymore. I think there are 2, maybe 3 if Russia's ever allowed to compete again. But I think there's 2 nations that are very much on par with each other. And while a very small percentage of people care about the World Juniors, the fact is that USA has been winning those, and it does play. It is a factor. So I don't think it's this like, see, we told you weren't on our level. We told you that we're the dominant nation. Like, yeah, they walk away with the win in this one, but I don't feel like, I don't know. I don't think anything was defined today for Canada. Is like, see, if it was 5-1, maybe.
I mean,
or if they're just blitzing them and Hellebuck's hanging on for dear life and they win in overtime. But U.S. had every chance to win this game as much as Canada did and played just as well as they did, and they just got one more goal.
Just like in 2010, Canada wins because they got the best player in the world on their roster. Sidney Crosby in 2010, Connor McDavid tonight. But, I mean, I don't think when it's all said and done, people are going to really put this 4 nations thing in like great historic. It's not going to replace the Summit Series as like historic international hockey. But it would have been nice for the U.S. to win this because they haven't beaten Canada on this level since 1996, the World Cup of Hockey. There are only 8 guys on this USA team tonight that were even born the last time they did it. So it would have been nice.
There's no doubt.
But I think there'll definitely be more stress on an Olympic tournament. The Olympic medal will always mean more than the one and only 4 nations trophy face off.
The one and only
stuff. Confrontation Day 4 Nation or whatever that was.
Confrontations Day. Yeah.
So, but Canada, the Canadian fans, the Canadian players, they are very happy right now. They didn't want to lose, regardless of the prestige or not of this tournament, they didn't want to lose it. They don't want to hear about it. So they accomplished their mission. They don't care who's playing for Team USA. They wanted to beat them. They wanted to beat them for multiple reasons, and they got the job done. And congratulations to them. They're still the best hockey country in the world out of these 4 nations. Like, that's why I can't wait for the Olympics. And somehow I hope that Russia can play in the Olympics, because you gotta have, you can't be the best team in the world when one of the best countries in the world isn't part of a tournament. But Canada is still the team to beat in the international tournaments at the top level. As much as U.S. has been dominating at the under 20 level, when it comes to this level, it's still Canada's game. It's still there. They're still the best in the world at winning these international tournaments.
Yeah,
these will be the 12 nations facing off for the 12 nations face-off, also known as the Olympics in 2026.
AKA
Canada,
Can't get
Finland,
sued for saying 12 nations face off.
Canada, Finland, Sweden, U.S., Switzerland, Czechia, France, Slovakia, Germany, Latvia, Denmark, and Italy. Those are the 12 teams that qualify.
Go Italy! Do like the or like Anthony Rizzo plays for the Italian baseball team because his last name has an
I'm trying to think like who are the.
It's famous Italian ice hockey player Alex Ovechkin.
He plays for Ireland. Alex Ovechkin. He's Irish. Yeah. No, it'll be interesting. I can't wait for the Olympics, and I guess it's established. I guess Russia won't be in it. I don't know how long their ban is, and I know the IIHF
it was under review a few weeks ago, and both Belarus and Russia it was upheld that it wouldn't be
They were
lifted. And then
for IIHF, I think the IOC still has not made their final decision. I think they can change that, but it's unlikely. But it would be nice to have Russia in these tournaments.
We got to hit the break zone. More on the last time CHGO Blackhawks Team USA 4 Nations Face-Off post-game show. Did it.
Hey, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, why not check out our friends at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake right now. They got auto show deals going on, which means the latest vehicles that you've been looking for are now priced with huge auto show savings, like $11,000 off of MSRP on new Chevy models, or you can check out Ray's selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep prices competitive so you'll always get a great deal. Plus, with Ray's Price Promise, you can shop confidently because a guarantee, no add-ons, no hidden fees, and no gimmicks means the price that you see and hear you are going to pay. You don't have to worry about price changing, any stressful negotiations, or any tricks. The people at Ray Chevy just want to help you get into the right vehicle at the right price. So go see for yourself. Visit our partner this month, February, at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. Again, don't miss out on the auto show sales event going on all month long. Be the star of the show and take $11,000 off of MSRP today shopping Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake, or you can go to raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
And if you haven't noticed, life's been a little crazy lately.
No, never.
One thing that helps me unwind are Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies. Actually took one today.
Oh, nice.
Needed it. Have you been looking for a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort? The CBD gummies from Cornbread Hemp are formulated to work with your body, not against it. Ooh,
that's good.
Clever. I'm not as young as I once was. Wait, how does the copy know that? But I care a lot about maintaining my physical and mental wellness. Well, the mental wellness. Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies are a huge piece of my wellness plan. They're great. They only use the best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD. They're organic, vegan, and Mario, gluten-free.
Hey now.
No poopy pants. Made with full spectrum CBD for maximum potency. Flower-only extraction means you're not eating sticks, stems, or leaves.
It's good.
Fast, free shipping on every order. Right now, they're offering CHGO listeners 30% off their first orders. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO and use the promo code CHGO. at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO and use code CHGO for 30% off your first order. This is the good life.
Here's a funny stat from this tournament.
As I try to reclaim my mic. Sarah, can you mute my mic for a second, please?
Every road team won. Every quote-unquote road team won in this tournament. That's pretty weird. And if we didn't mention it, Nathan McKinnon was named tournament MVP. Connor McDavid obviously named the player of the game. And according to Chris Johnston, blaring from the celebratory Team Canada dressing room is Nickelback. No, not the...
Take the trophy away.
Not the knockoff Black Keys.
Well, I mean, at least Nickelback is Canadian.
They are.
They are. Truly Canadian.
They've made a comeback.
I honestly don't know if I can name a single Nickelback song.
Yes, you could.
Yes, you can.
I mean, well, okay. I probably, if I would say, oh, yeah, I know that song, but I wouldn't know it's Nickelback.
Everybody knows that they have a song called Photograph. Sounds just like that.
Yeah, you've heard that,
I'm thinking
right?
of Def Leppard's Photograph.
Yeah.
That is the superior photograph, yes.
That's how it goes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I will queue up Nickelback and see if I know any of their
In your
songs.
car, please.
Yeah, no, we won't be doing.
Not here.
We'll get sued if we play 3 seconds of it
And
or
we'll
whatever.
lose every one of our viewers.
That's why I didn't sing it perfectly.
Thank you. Yeah, good
Yeah.
job. We'll not get
Sounds
we'll not
good to
lose
me.
our YouTube license. There was a comment I wanted to get to because it did come up during the game. Someone asked earlier if Kane and DeBrincat were on Team USA, would this have ended differently?
No.
It
Nope.
wouldn't have gone to overtime. They
Yeah, I
would have
know.
lost 5-2.
And look, like I know people think that we are just here to rip on Patrick Kane and we're tired of talking about, which we are sort of tired of talking about him. But if you saw the pace of this tournament,
Yeah, no.
he would have been toast. And look, he's 36 years old. It's okay. Like it's, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I mean, would I rather had Alex DeBrincat than Brock Nelson?
Yes.
Yes, I would argue that case. Sure. I would maybe even take Patrick Kane over Brock Nelson, but give me Tage Thompson, give me Jason Robertson. Like, there's a lot of guys that deserve
This
to
is
be
gonna
there that weren't.
Awkward when Brock Nelson signs with the Blackhawks.
Oh,
this summer.
The lowest rated players in tonight's game,
Adam Fox.
according to Dom Lucian,
They're all Rangers.
Brock Nelson was a minus 0.93 net rating. Adam Fox minus 0.72.
Stinks.
Vincent Trocheck minus 0.69. Nice.
Rangers and Islanders.
Chris Kreider minus
Ranger.
0.62.
Stop putting
Uh,
the Rangers on these teams.
And then
It's so funny.
Travis Sanheim was the worst Canadian player.
Oh,
We got to start the quarter jar again. Or the, what is it? You guys
For
have to put
Patrick
a
Kane?
dollar. No. For putting
Rangers?
Rangers
oh,
players.
Rangers.
Yeah.
Anytime
Yeah.
a Ranger appears.
That's okay.
Put
Sure.
a quarter in the jar.
By the way, there's also a lot
Sidney
of comments.
Crosby was the second worst Canadian.
He's
Right.
also 38 years old. A lot of people calling out Jack Hughes in this game. And I think there's a lot of comparisons between Hughes and Bedard.
If you were wondering what Connor Bedard would have looked like playing this tournament,
Watch Jack Hughes.
it probably would have been a
Yeah.
lot like Jack Hughes.
And it doesn't mean that at the Olympics, Jack Hughes and Connor Bedard, when they're more at their prime and more developed players, that they won't be very effective for their nations. I mean, Hughes is going to make Team USA for sure. Do you think Bedard has a shot at
Shot
the Olympics?
depends what he does.
Yeah, it's
the
gonna
rest of this year and first half. Of
Well,
next
Mikko
year.
Rantanen's going to help. So
Sure. Yeah, he's definitely going to be on their short list, right? But it'll come down to how he looks towards the end of this year and what he progresses through next off season or this upcoming off season and into next year. Because I think if you were to say like, you know, I think you watch this tournament and I think Bedard would have been behind, and that's not a knock on him. I just think like he hasn't. It's been 2 seasons basically since he's been around a team that is like on par with his skill set or close to that. So he's been with the Blackhawks, that he's been their best player, and they've been a bad team. So it's like you can see how that can kind of like wear on guys sometimes, and if they're not up to that pace, it can slow a guy down. So I think if Bedard was on this Team Canada team, he wouldn't have been playing in a role that he would excel at. And are you going to ask Connor McDavid to, like,
Right.
forecheck, play defense? Like, that's not going to get the most out of him. I think if he he'll continue to physically mature. That's going to be a big part of his growth in the NHL, literally. And I think too, like, his confidence keeps growing. The more well-roundedness of his game is starting to grow, and then he's going to still continue to grow offensively. So I think if you take all of that, and if he keeps on that development path through the rest of the season into next year, I would have to say he's definitely got a puncher's chance of being on Team Canada and being able to be in a role where it's not like he's the 12th forward or something like that. Like, he'd be able to actually be in a more contributing role.
I had a guy on Twitter ask me, Chicago PD asked me in a non-dickish way, like a truly curious way, if Bedard is a generational player, shouldn't he be on Team Canada? And I think a big part of maybe people who are jumping in on this and they've heard about Bedard and all the stuff about him, like, well, if he's so great, why isn't he there? All these teams, well, at least USA and Canada, the teams with enough depth to do this, went into it with a mindset of building a team, of having guys that can check, having guys that can defend, having guys that not just the 12 best scoring forwards and the 6 best scoring defensemen, and throwing them out there and having it be, Globetrotters. They really tried to build a playoff caliber team, and I think both nations, Canada and US,
especially for
succeeded.
such short term.
Yeah, right.
The Olympics, you're going to have 5 preliminary games before you get to and then the knockout round is 4 rounds. So, I mean, you could play, if there's 12 teams, you could play as many as 9 games.
Right.
So that's a lot different than knowing you have to win 2 out of your first 3 games to have any chance. Thing about Connor Bedard, if he can make it to the Olympics, who does he replace? Not a lot of guys you're pulling off that team right now.
No, I mean, Crosby will be 40.
Crosby's going to be on that team.
But yeah, like
So,
he doesn't seem to be slowing down.
He's still one of the best Canadian, top 12 Canadian forwards. You're not taking him off the team.
Yeah.
You're not taking McDavid, McKinnon.
How about
Marner.
Marchand? Is he still playing?
Yeah, maybe, but you take Tom Wilson instead.
Mark Stone will be gone.
Sam Bennett. Does he play on this team
Maybe.
again?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. So there's also a lot of other, people are mentioning Celebrini too. I think this Olympics is they're both probably too young for this Olympics, as far as like Team Canada goes. They want to bring in, more veteran players. Plus, they probably also look at it. You shouldn't, but this is a factor. You go, well, you're 20 and you're 19. You guys are going to be around for plenty of Olympics. We want to get these 27-year-old guys that.
Tell that to Steven Stamkos.
Well, maybe if he doesn't get hurt every 4 years, he'd be able to play it more.
So I'm looking up a story from The Athletic, which like 4 nation snubs for Canada. They've got Jordan Kyrou, Mark Scheifele, John Tavares, Zach Hyman.
Scheifele should have been there for sure.
Jonathan Marchessault and Gabe Vilardi. All those guys are older. Kyrou's not old. He's in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's a bunch of young guys like a year or two older than Bedard didn't make it. I don't know. I think there's a decent chance.
I don't know how Mark Scheifele didn't make that.
It's weird that he didn't make it.
So let's have a little fun exercise. Who do you think should be on the? Screw Canada. Forget them. We don't live there. Who should be on Team USA? I think this roster for Team USA should be completely different for the Olympics.
Well,
no more Chris Kreider.
Well, no.
No more Brock Nelson.
No.
Yeah, those two are gone for sure.
You got to have
Vincent Trocheck is gone.
Yeah. I mean, give me Clayton Keller.
Yes.
Give me Jason Robertson.
How about Cole Caulfield?
Tage Thompson.
Yes. 100%.
Alex Vlasic.
Yes.
I mean, I'd even take Alex Tuck over Brock Nelson. Like, there's plenty of.
I think the D is going to be tougher to get through than.
Well, gotta remember, hopefully Quinn Hughes is playing.
Hughes will be back. Noah Hannafin will probably be gone by then, because there'll be better options. But I'm trying to see, where does Vlasic come in? Because you've got Werenski, Hughes, Sanderson, Slavin's not going anywhere. Dude is unbelievable. Yeah. Faber, Fox is going to play because of the reputation. I mean, I think it's going to be a tougher job for
No
Vlasic to
more
get in there
Rangers.
than Bedard to get to Canada.
I mean,
Unless Vlasic has, like, we've got some time. Like, the Hawks have to have a significantly better year next year, which is, again, hard to say because they're going to be younger from all reports. Maybe they bring in a legit star or two, but maybe they might lose somebody. Seth Jones is all of a sudden sort of admitting, like, yeah, we're trying to work on something here, which maybe we can get to at the end of the show here. But I don't know. I think it's going to be hard for Vlasic without, like, a really outstanding kind of breakthrough year to make the report. And AR01 says Vlasic for Faber. That's not going to happen. Brock Faber was one of the best players for Team USA in that first Canada game, and against he's been really good. Like, I know there's this built-in rivalry with Brock Faber with Hawks fans because of the Faber versus Bedard thing, but Brock Faber belongs on the ice for Team USA.
Yeah, for sure. And McAvoy got hurt.
Yeah, McAvoy's going to be there.
Be another guy that would be back.
Yeah.
Doing the snubs for Canada defensively. John Carlson, Shane Gostisbehere, Ryan McDonough, Neil Pionk, and Seth Jones were listed here as snubs for Team USA's defensive group.
I believe you're going to have bigger rosters for the Olympics.
I think Olympics gets 25.
Because, it's a longer tournament. Plus, you're going halfway around the globe. You can't just tell somebody to hop on a plane to go to Boston.
Right.
You know, so
right.
Does Team USA?
Hey, Quinn Hughes has the sniffles. How quick can you get to Italy?
Like Team USA, do they look and go, hey, we're playing on Olympic sheet of ice? Wouldn't it be fun to have Lane Hudson out there on that kind of ice? I mean,
I
don't know.
Head fake.
I mean, he could be fun. At least not as one of your six, but you bring him out there as an extra, and you throw him out there for the Switzerland or Italy game, and let him go crazy.
Yeah.
But you know what's going to happen?
Let him juke around a bunch of Gambinos.
You know what's going to happen? Here's what's going to happen. Seth Jones is going to get traded this offseason.
Have a great year.
He's going to go to a contender.
Yeah.
He's going to be a Norris contender, and he's going to be on Team USA.
Sure. Why not?
I'm all for it.
And then all you guys who've been running out of town for the last 4 years are going to be in our chat going, we should have kept Seth Jones. Fire Kyle Davidson for trading Seth Jones. It's going to happen.
Can I, just before this derails, there's people in the chat that think that the Hawks are going to get Wyatt Johnston for Seth Jones.
No.
What?
It's
What are you
guys.
talking about?
And you could throw in Wyatt Kaiser.
Jim Nill is really good at his job.
It's not-
He's not making that trade.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not. Like, maybe they get a good prospect. Maybe they get a more established guy. Dallas is going to have to, if it's Dallas, they'll have to move salary to make it happen.
Yeah, there's
It's
much.
not going to be one of the young studs from Dallas.
No, especially if you're the goal with the Jones move, which is gonna more likely gonna happen in the offseason. I can't see it happening in the next couple of weeks.
It's a lot of stuff to
Too many moving
move.
parts.
Yeah.
And I don't want to trade Seth Jones if it means salary retention for the next 5 years. You might as well keep him for another year or two
And then consider it.
and then figure it out. Like,
Unless he's just like, please get me out of here.
I don't think he is.
It doesn't seem that way.
He didn't say that, and I don't think he necessarily. Well, you know what? I think Seth Jones would say that if it got to that point.
Yeah.
I think he would. Seth Jones is never shy of telling you exactly how he feels, and he definitely hasn't. He's not half-assing it out there by any means. So, my only thing about that is don't expect it to happen before the deadline. And the Hawks are not in a situation where they have to trade him.
Right.
So, because if you do trade him, that gives you a giant hole on your blue line next season if he's not here. He still plays a very valuable. Sure, you have Alex Vlasic who could step up and he plays pretty much almost those same minutes anyway, but he's not exactly the same type of player. But then you only have one of them and not two.
And I think I don't want to say he struggled, but he didn't thrive when Jones was out. I think that was a little much to ask of Alex Vlasic, this young in his career, to be a number one 25-minute a night. I think he's going to get there in 2, 3, 4 years, and he'll be that guy dependably, but I just don't think at this point in his development that he is like set it and forget 25 minutes a night. He's going to go out there and hold his own.
No, because he struggled when he was paired with Louis Crevier.
Yeah.
And, so I think with the Jones stuff, you're in no dire need to move him at this point, and I'm not trading him and retaining salary. That makes no sense right now. And sure, he wants to go play for a contender. I'm sure everybody in that locker room would rather be playing for a contender right now than the Blackhawks. So, you could figure it out. I think the offseason makes more sense for this type of deal, but it's definitely an interesting scenario. But if you do find a taker for his entire contract, which shouldn't be that big a deal with the salary cap going up as much as it is,
you're not getting anything back then.
That's what I was going to say. Temper your expectations about what you're going to get.
I think if you're retaining half, then you got to get something in return. It's not going to be Wyatt Johnston, but if you're retaining half, you got to get something of value back. I don't know what that is. Hard to define.
It's
maybe another Jason Dickinson kind of a player.
Well, it's got to be something that improves your team over the length of the time that you're retaining that salary to make that money kind of make eating that money hurt a little bit less. And I mean, the trade scenario, like if you are retaining that much money, like you're saying, like, hey, this is a long-term big money retention. We're gonna need something for it, and so if you say put your price tag on, we need your top 2 NHL ready prospects, or we need someone who's going to step in right away and be able to play in a top 4 defensive role or something like that. Like, it's going to take a lot for the Blackhawks to acquire it to where it would make that hole in the lineup feel like it could be not as big with Jones out. But again, like it's hard to win those types of deals when you're the team that basically is coming to a team and being like, hey, we're trying to move Seth Jones. Do you want him, kind of thing? And I mean, of course, there's mutual interest across the league. That's what we're hearing with, Seth Jones. Like, teams have inquired about him. Now with Ben Pope's story, it's the Blackhawks and Jones and Pat Brisson have internally been saying, hey, maybe we get something done here. Like, I think as soon as you put that out there into the open, the clock starts ticking. Like, because it was all, like, oh, hey, Seth, would you want to be on a contender? Well, yeah, everybody wants to win more and stuff, but I'm here in Chicago. And now it's, I've talked about trades with Kyle Davidson. That's out there now.
Seth is a really smart guy and is not just going to be like, oops, that slipped out. He put that out there on purpose. He changed the tone of the conversation on purpose. And, like, look, we'll say this. Do you think he'll be here at the deadline? I do. Greg, it seems like you do. Mario?
I don't know. I think now that it's the rumors started circulating a month ago. It was like, oh, these people in the know are actually saying that Seth Jones trade rumors, all that stuff, it's actually been discussed. Now you get this where he's saying, I've had discussions about getting traded, and while I'm here, but like now it's out there of like those conversations are happening. It makes me feel like March 7th, Jones is in the lineup against Utah is a bigger question mark than it's would have been.
I feel more strongly it will happen today than I did 2 days ago, but I'm still going to say he's not gone at the time, but I don't think he's here opening day of next year. What do you think, Greg?
I would say it's greater than 50-50 that he's traded.
Yeah, I think
I don't know. I think to get it done before the deadline is going to be tough, because if you don't want to retain, Nobody's got the cap space right now. The
Right.
salary cap hasn't gone up for this
Is there
season.
anyone that we're not thinking about with a big LTIR spot?
Well, Mark Stone.
I mean, Mark Stone is going to be out after this. Yeah.
Mark Stone just threw out his back carrying the Four Nations trophy around the ice.
Right.
So, he's out. But I don't know. I mean, Dallas has LTIR with Tyler Seguin.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's enough, but
Well, if they move something back to the Hawks from the NHL roster, right now with Seguin on LTIR, they have $3.4 million, so obviously not enough. But Seguin,
Unless you get a third team involved.
you'd have to get a third team involved. Seguin makes 9.85. Oof.
I mean, salary cap going up.
Seth Jones for Jason Robertson. Who says no?
Probably Dallas. Seth Jones's contract, whether it's at 50% retained or full bore, like with the salary cap going up, the percentage that he's going to take up is going to go down every year. So it becomes easier and easier and easier to stomach as the remaining length of the contract goes on, which for if a team's acquiring him is a good situation, or if he stays in Chicago for the rest of the contract, it's still a fine situation because the salary cap's going up for everybody. So even with him making 9.5 here, that percentage of what he's going to eat up keeps going down. And, I just feel like there's ways to make his cap hit more tolerable for everybody. And it's not going to be a hindrance, the money as much on the Hawks roster or from a trade standpoint.
Right. But that's why
teams are going to be able to make it work.
Right. That's why I think it's likely it happens in the off season. It's going to be much more difficult to do it in the next, whatever it is, 2.5 weeks before, because the salary cap is an issue this year. It won't be so much next year. And that's when a team will say, hey, the cap's going up. This is the exact guy we need. This is the missing piece. We're going to go get him. Salary cap be damned. But it's really difficult to do that.
Yeah.
No, not impossible, just difficult.
It's also like you said, though, like there's no urgency to do it. Like the Hawks are not up against the cap. He is not a malcontent. He's not saying, trade me right effing now, like Denny Lemieux in Slapshot. He's just saying, you know what? At some point, I'd like to play for a contender. I've talked to my agent about it. We've talked to Kyle about it, and it's something we've been discussing. But he's not sitting out, pouting, not wanting to play. And I don't know. There's so many people that interact with us on a daily basis that are just like, just get him gone. Just dump him. I don't care. The sooner the better. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. And even if you want to argue that he is overpaid, which he is, I think we all agree on that, it doesn't matter. The Hawks have infinite cap space right now. It's not preventing them from doing anything they want. So why would you rush it and potentially get less than you could or have to retain more than you have to just to get it done before the deadline? I don't think that makes any sense. Now, if a team comes calling and is like, we want to give you one of our top prospects or top young NHL players because we just have to have Seth Jones, fine. Figure it out. Work it out and get it done. But there's just no urgency to do it. Like, I think of the Brent Seabrook. When Brent Seabrook was traded, there was urgency there because they're up against the cap and he was bad. And Brent Seabrook's one of my favorite all-time Hawks. Top 5 all-time Hawks. But at the end of that deal, he was awful. Could not play anymore. I think he would tell you the same thing. There was urgency in moving that. With Seth, you're still getting well above average play, well above average leadership, well above average production. Fine. Let him wait for the best deal. I think that's what you want your GM to do. I don't think you want your GM to just be like, well, he wants out, so we're just going to take what we can get. And then as soon as that happens, the same people who are like, get rid of him will be like, fire Davidson. He didn't get enough. Let the process play out. Trust the GM to get a good return. He's done a pretty good job with this trade so far as GM. There's just no rush at all to make it happen just to make it happen.
Yeah. Take the offer. People are saying that, Rantanen got traded in his contract. Yeah, but the Hurricanes also sent a lot of salary back.
Right. The Hawks don't really have that guy. It's going to offset that.
Right.
And by the way, Rantanen was what, like 7 something?
Hawks are retaining 4 point something and change.
also on Taylor Hall's deal, but still, like,
on Rantanen. They got rid of Hall.
Right.
Yeah, Rantanen's deal is $925.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Carolina sent a lot of salary back. Over 6.
Yeah, with Natchez.
For Natchez.
Well, yeah.
And, yeah. So
Rantanen got moved because you also moved another All-Star in the in the process.
People are mentioning, they were able to trade Pierre-Luc Dubois' contract. Well, that was in the off season, which is different. It's not impossible. Just I don't think it will happen by the deadline, but crazier things have happened. We don't know how long these trade, talks have been going on. We don't know how long. Obviously, it didn't start yesterday when Seth told Ben Bulb, by the way, my agent and Kyle sat down 10 minutes ago to start talking about this. No.
Guess what I found out?
It's been ongoing. So I'm sure there are plenty of teams that are like, hey, this is what we can do. This is what we're willing to do. But what you can do and what you're willing to do change as you get closer to that deadline. And as things get, hey, Vegas might even be more desperate. If Shea Theodore is out for the rest of the regular season, that might make them more desperate to do something.
And they're a team that always wants to go for it. So
teams desperate, their desperation can change in the blink of an eye and when a player gets hurt. So lots can happen between now and March 9th. I just think it's unlikely, but stranger things have happened.
All right, I want to remind everybody that if Seth Jones is traded, we will surely have an emergency podcast, as we do all the time here at CHGO Sports. When news breaks, we are able to put our A-team for each beat on the air. So count on that. If Seth Jones is traded, just know that within a half hour, one combo of the three of us is going to be on.
Not me. I'm post-game shows only.
That's true. You are post-game shows only. I might pay you out of my pocket to get you on a Seth Jones emergency.
I don't know if I want to be around.
I'll pay you in Salernos.
I don't know if I want to be around the chat for that one.
Oh, it should be a party of the century if known loafer Seth Jones is traded.
I'm saying it right now.
Yeah.
You're saying by March 7th?
That's the trade deadline, yeah.
Trade deadline? I think he will be traded by then.
All right.
I really do.
Get those graphics ready. I think we actually have
I was going to say, I've already kind of...
I think we already have a Seth Jones traded graphic.
We do. I'm going to update it, though.
I think it's 3 years old.
Well, no, I made that one. I made it like a
uniform.
month ago, but I'll update it.
Yeah, when the rumors started.
Yeah.
RUMO.
We're like the Boy Scouts, always prepared.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if you want to join us here, by the way, at CHGO Sports, we are running a deal on our diehard membership, $48 for the year. Jump on. If you're a football fan, this would be a good time to do it because the draft's coming up and no one covers the NFL draft like CHGO Sports. And hey, we've got the obviously the draft coming up here, trade deadline, tons going on all over sports. Baseball season's underway. The Cubs played today. Did the Sox play?
No.
No one knows.
Yeah.
There's no way to know.
The Cubs played a game?
They're
played
in spring training.
Started earlier
started
because
today.
they're playing.
Today's day one of it.
They're
Japan.
playing
I didn't know
Japan.
games started.
It was Cubs and Dodgers today.
Who won that game, by the way?
I don't know.
Dodgers by 600.
I've been in Hawks World all
Cubs
day.
won, everybody.
Oh, get the banner.
12-4. Take that. That's karma, Dodgers, for doing everything the right way.
12-4.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right.
They must have played their C squad that would still
I'm sure.
finish in third
I'm sure
place
lots of
in
people
most
I've heard
divisions.
of played in that game.
Yeah. What was the payroll of their roster today?
Exactly. All right, well, become a diehard, though. Do it. AllCHGO.com. We'll be really happy to have you. All right, we are off tomorrow. And then, guess what? The Saturday and Sunday, the Hawks are back. Saturday, they're in Columbus. We'll have a 5:30 pregame show. And then Sunday, hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs at the UC. That is a 6 o'clock puck drop. So that'll be fun. We'll talk to you after both games, Saturday and Sunday, right here on the CHGO Team USA 4 Nations Face Off postgame podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.